Chapman doesn't even need a mic. Chapman doesn't need a mic. You can use it normally. Pushpay on. Very scared.
Hi everyone, welcome to the grand finals of WDA Oracle. Without further ado, calling upon the Prime Minister to begin the debate. Here. Starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Panel, thousands of students across the world who look at their acceptance letter from universities, but the only thought at the back of their mind is what they're going to do regarding the expenses of shifting to a different place, the expenses of transportation, the expenses of their visa, and instead of being able to tell their parents about the news with a happy face, they're unable to share it with their parents, but rather the only thing they have to think of is the next best thing, not being able to live the dream university life they always dreamt of, simply because of the huge amount of expenses, which we are going to talk about. Before I move on to the constructors, a few points to that, right? We feel like under our side of the world, even with the normalization of fully online degrees from universities, where physical universities will still exist, so for students who want to apply to physical universities or want to study at campus because they think that works best for them, they will still be able to do that, so that exists under our side of the world. And for students who take lab-related works or physical campus will be for them, they always have that option. We feel like the biggest part of this debate for us is to prove how we break the stigma regarding normalization of online education, and we'll prove that to you throughout our arguments. First, we'll know why we break the stigma of online education. Pero, understand the comparative in this debate is, under the rest of the world, and in Spain so, even though online education exists and you can get degrees online, it is so stigmatized that it's looked upon so badly by society, they do not get acknowledgement. Students who usually take online degrees are considered to be people who haven't worked hard. They're not acknowledged for their degrees, or they're simply not recognized for enough effort or hard work because it's online and apparently it's not something that's common in society. That is the burden we have in this debate of breaking the stigma down, and we do that through our arguments, right? Firstly, on how we break the stigma of online education. We feel like there's an issue of prestige of universities when it comes to getting jobs, right? We feel like students who study in universities with a higher prestige, universities which have lasted for a long time, universities that were founded hundreds of years ago, or that have a bigger campus, or fancier facilities usually hold a greater amount of prestige, which is why students from those specific universities are only able to get better jobs, or they get jobs easily when they're new graduates. The point at which we normalize online education, it's better for a lot of students to get jobs. Why that's alright? We feel like smaller universities now under our law do not have the burden of making sure they have the fanciest campus or making sure they have the best facilities to provide, because now they can utilize that money behind the other things that can be done online, such as hiring better teachers, hiring teachers who are more qualified, getting more qualified lecturers and other experienced people to make sure the quality of education itself is better, even though it's done online. We feel like because online education is going to be normalized, they will be able to ensure the funding they have is utilized behind other factors, which is good for smaller universities, which means the point at which these smaller universities with lesser funding can utilize money which would rather be used behind transportation or campus, can now use it to make quality of education itself better. And because online is normalized, students studying from smaller universities now, because they probably didn't get accepted bigger amounts or they cannot afford the entry fee, will now be still recognized better when it comes to getting jobs, simply because the facilities are going to be better in smaller universities. They will probably make, there is a level playing field here, because all universities will look into improving their quality of online education overall, which means all universities will have a higher recognition of online education because small universities utilize their funds in the same way bigger universities will, so they don't have to worry about other factors. They are able to make sure students graduating from their own university get the same amount of recognition, right? We feel that our side of the world also helps talented minorities, right? The biggest struggle for a lot of very talented minorities or people in disenfranchised communities is the fact that when they do get accepted with a scholarship in good universities, for example, someone from a disenfranchised minority gets accepted in MIT, the reason why they still get gold is despite having a scholarship, even if all of their entry is provided by the university, they still have to account for other expenses like the cost of living in a different country, the cost of your visa, cost of transportation, flight tickets, everything, right? But an overall change of lifestyle, having to shift from one place to another, but also discrimination factors exist for these minorities when it comes to shifting from one place to another and trying to fit in a community, a physical community of people who are completely different from you. We feel like the point at which online education is normalized, these minorities who get accepted in bigger universities will be able to get their degree still, because even though their scholarship provides for the fund, the other funds and expenses don't need to be worried about from their side, because all they need is a laptop and internet to be able to access that. And we feel like that on the comparative is way more accessible than everything else that needs to be thought about in terms of expenses by these people under their side of the world, right? We feel like teacher-to-student ratio is also going to be better under our side of the world. The point of which an online class, you can teach more students in one class, and it's easier to give everyone the equal amount of access, because whatever you say is going to be more audible, more accessible in the equal manner to every single person, compared to one teacher with a mic or their own voice in a hall with a bunch of students where people at the very back can't even hear you, where you cannot fit in more than a certain number of students in one classroom, because there is a capacity which does not exist online. We feel like because of these reasons there's going to be better access, right? We feel like there's going to be more funding for universities under our side of the world, simply because when it's online, there's also going to be more online advertisements, because you are so used to seeing education online, you're also going to become more used to or accommodate yourself to see more advertisements of universities online. And because it's going to upgrade, there's going to be more investments from private investors and investing companies themselves. We feel like universities will be able to have more funding under our side of the world, because they're going to accommodate with diversity. They can show these investors that they're doing something different, they're doing something that's exclusive to them, because they're able to increase access for a lot of universities and for a lot of minorities, which is why they're probably more likely to get more funding and more advertising. We probably want to talk about it very soon. You can see it.
Hello. Would a corporate employer hire someone with an online degree comparative to an actual degree from physical university? Do you think a corporate employer, even in your world when it's normalized, would hire someone with an online degree over someone with an actual degree from physical university?
We think yes, because online education is going to be normalized, which means big universities will also provide degrees to more students. And when it's normalized, students on your side of the world will feel pressurized to study on campus, despite the fact that they cannot afford it or find it difficult, will not feel that pressure, which means when you have more students naturally resorting to online, you'll also have more employers bound to accept it. But also, in our program, our GPM will speak to you about how companies will also upgrade their way of teaching online. With that being said, the second argument on why there's better quality of education, we feel like there's better resources online because you can store a lot of things online. If you miss something in a physical class in your university, you are unlikely to get that resource. Compared to when it's online, you can store resources online through variety of apps or slides. And it's also more affordable because you can literally get a PDF of your book and you get the PDF of slides, but you have to buy a book, like buy all of your resources if your education is physical. We think it's difficult. We feel like because quality of education is going to be better, there's going to be more anti-cheat policies, there's incentive framework technology and platforms for a lot of the students because more people will start resorting to the environment. We feel like for all of these reasons, we're going to increase access to education and overall bring us a very proud students.
Thank you for the speech. You call the leader of opposition. Here.
Hello? I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1, start. So when Team Prop comes up and tells you that they are going to create a unique system and get more funding for their university so that they can give out more resources, is not true, because as part of Ocean, this whole system is going to be normalized and they won't in turn be unique and won't get the resources from the corporations as they claim that they would get. Also, the normalization of this means that more funding needs to be allocated for the system to be incorporated at a more wider reach, and we will explain to you why this will in turn out to be a harm for the disprivileged people. Professors still give out recorded lectures to their students in these classes, so we do not see how that is something exclusive under their side of the world. It still exists in the status quo. We still get recordings of these classes under our side of the world as well. Online classes will still exist under our side of the world. What we do not support is a normalization that the Team Prop wants to bring into it. Then we move on to which type of people will mostly opt into it. In the status quo, online classes exist as a last resort and a last alternative of a type of education that people can have access to. But under their side of the world, this will no longer exist as a last option. On the contrary, it will exist as a more convenient option. Why will this happen? This is because in universities, when people attend physically in those actual campuses, they pay for the particular experience. Therefore, the tuition fees will be much lower compared to actually attending those campuses compared to attending these classes online. Therefore, the tuition fees will increase. They say that education will become more accessible for people. Yes, we agree that people will be able to access this type of education more because the cost will decrease under their side of the world for this type of online education. Then what will happen is that international students are more likely will not be able to go to or avail these experiences more. This is because of firstly the structural barriers that they go through. Secondly, their parents will not probably let them go because of the high amount of cost that they have to pay. On the comparative with the status quo, even if the parents have that little amount of will to try or come up with the expenses, they now no longer will have the incentive to let their kids go for the dream that they have been doing for their entirety of life, just because of the convenience of the normalized system that exists under the prop side of the world. Our burden to prove to you this debate is that lower quality of education disproportionately affects majority groups. If we can prove this to you, we will take this debate. We have 3 constructives with a student. Firstly, holistic university experience is necessary for students to reach their full potential. Secondly, it disproportionately affects the disprivileged. Thirdly, quality of university education goes down. Firstly, holistic university experience is necessary for students to reach their full potential. In an actual campus, an actual university campus, they have different sorts of varieties of facilities. For example, labs for science students, access to libraries, access to different types of books in this particular libraries, access to art rooms, courts and gyms for athletes, which will no longer be available in this online classes because it's just not possible to provide this sort of facilities from online classes. Yes,
Right, you talk about a more convenient option for parents. Why is it necessarily that if underprivileged kids can access a more convenient option?
yes. We will prove this to you on a constructive of how the quality of education actually goes down and how this actually affects these people when they move on to the job sectors. Then these facilities and accessories to make these people a better student because, for example, a science student, if they don't have access to proper labs, they will not have the hands-on experience on how to carry out experiments, and they in turn will not have those skill sets that a university student should have had, which we see happening in the state school. Secondly, students will be able to explore more type of interests because of the existence of after-school clubs, because of the existence of competitions that happen in universities, which is a part of the holistic experience that universities provide to you. This interest is in turn better for their mental health too, because they get a leeway from the academic pressure that they're constantly being put through in universities, because the burden of education, burden of studies is on a large scale more than what they have experienced in high school. So this transition is much more catered to by the existence of after-school clubs and existence of getaway from the intense pressure of academics. They will also get to interact and socialize with their peers. This will also in turn be better for their mental health. Then also, when they go into actual campuses, they will also have the option to experiment with subjects, because in an online class you're completely put into a subject that you have chosen for yourself. You do not get to go to different classrooms, and if you're confused with what major you want to go to, you do not get to the different classrooms and actually assess for yourself which one you want to study or which one you want to major in. They have also told us that all unis are going to be equal, because now unis are going to allocate their resources to the online sectors. But the thing is, in the status quo, not all unis have equal amount of resources. The total amount of resources a university has differs from university to university. So if the resources get allocated to online sectors for smaller scale universities, that percentage of resources is going to be much less compared to a much higher reputed university. Therefore, the quality of education is from those lower rated universities are going to be much lesser in quality compared to those higher level qualities, and in no terms these universities will reach an equal ground. Moving on to our second constructive about how it disproportionately affects the disprivileged. So firstly, for these people, the bargaining power decreases to get this holistic type of experience. Now, since this system is extremely normalized, government can be negligent to this disproportional type of group. In the status quo, we see need-based scholarships exist, because some people from areas such as Southeast Asia or Africa who cannot properly afford this high level of education in universities in America or say Canada, therefore need-based universities exist. If this system gets normalized, they will no longer have an incentive to give out these need-based scholarships in the first place, because now they will have an excuse that we have an online system. Why do students need to come into the campus in the first place if this is so normalized? And therefore, majority of the people will now actively vote against this sort of students getting into the universities in the first place with need-based scholarship, and therefore access to this holistic experience for this group of people, these privileged people are going to decrease detrimentally under their survival. For all these reasons, we're extremely proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Calling upon the Deputy Prime Minister here.
And
I'll start my speech. Acha, I hope I'm audible. You guys prefer pronouns even. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The speech is structured in 3 ways. Firstly, there's clarifications on the reminder of what we need to do to win. Secondly, responses. And thirdly, the extension of Ryan's argument. Then firstly right, this is clarification. We never claim that small universities, firstly they claim that we have more funding for online access. I feel like it's a greater part of our side. But more importantly, the claim was simple from us, right? The clarification is that you have more funding for these smaller unis via the fact that you can reduce funding in a lot of these other areas, right? You don't have the pressure to have a better campus. You don't have to have the pressure to build better facilities to attract students. Because when it is online, you have a level playing field and have the capacity to make sure that whatever funds that you save up are used in other facilities, like attracting students, like even giving them scholarships if needed online, or even giving them subsidies for technology or whatever it is, or even if it's just investing in a new technology that makes online platforms better for a lot of these students. Right. Secondly then, just going to responses. Firstly, access to corporate spaces. Sarah's POI was simple, that you probably won't get enough corporate jobs. You probably will. Normalization breaks down the stigma, right? And at that point, how do we do it? Simply because you have more access to finances, right? Firstly, a lot of these unis have low setup costs because of the first clarification that I gave. Those low setup costs mean that they're able to fund more into good facilities and better teachers and everything. So you kind of do build a prestige in the way that facilities become better. You give more access to education and quality education to a lot of these students. But secondly, the fact that lack of facilities don't matter. You break down the prestige barrier to a lot of these universities, right? You probably can't beat Harvard because of the historical advantage it has, but you're able to match it to a large degree simply by the fact that you, as a rich person wanting to set up an institution, can do so even with less amounts of land, right? Even with big unis, even if you are a big uni, you don't have the capacity to do it with other unis, right? To allow a platform for a level playing field to a much larger degree. But secondly, incentive of parents, right? I feel like it's untrue that parents won't give you funds, right? If you are the innate nature of parents is to give you funds if you want to go abroad, you probably need to rationally tell them that you want to go outside. Even if this is untrue, we feel like the point at which parents say no is the point at which parents can give you funds for that education. We're okay with that. We don't want parents to take that pressure. What exists on their side and their norm is a norm in which parents have to take the financial burden because they have to pay for the expenses of the students, right? Breaking down that stigma means that online access becomes equally as important. Parents don't need to have that specific pressure in which you have to pay more money than you can afford for like the student to have access to education, right? Thirdly then, changing subject. In general, it's online. You have limited amounts of bureaucracy, right? The fact that it's online means that you can have a website in which you can click different subjects. You probably won't have to visit campus offices, admin offices to talk about different subjects. You won't have to buy different amounts of textbooks. You can find them in PDF files. You probably won't have to do a lot of these things that you have to do. In general, you can just also literally just change your Zoom classroom or whatever you can do. You can like go to different Google classrooms. You can mail people. A lot of these things has become way more convenient when you don't have access to a lot of these areas, right? So normalization will mean you get more access to these places. Thirdly, and lastly, need-based scholarship. If you're a student that is talented enough, need-based scholarships will always be given to you. Even if not, having it online means that a lot of those costs are being saved up anyways. We're decreasing a lot of access, we're creating a lot of access to education simply by decreasing a lot of these costs to the point in which need-based scholarships don't become important in general, right? So a lot of these minorities can still get access to these places even if need-based scholarships are just diminished. Before I move forward,
For better facilities, where is the funding for online universities coming from?
the funding is coming from private investors who can advertise on online platforms as well. Right. Moving forward, effectiveness of education, the extension that we have, right? This also trickles down to employment and new employment opportunities. Why is this true, right? You can save up a lot of time when it's online, simply because via Ryan's argument, you have more incentive to build a better technology on online platforms, right? The inclusion of AI or generative AI in a lot of these platforms means that you can save up a lot of time and cost, right? You probably won't have to take the additional stress of going around libraries and campus to try and find research papers. You'll probably be able to access a lot of that via AI or the platforms that the students and the universities already allow you. More in general, secondly, the access of being able to save up the time gives you better access to mental health. Doctor comes up and says you have better mental health because of campus life. The time that you're saving gives you more opportunity to actually fulfill access to happiness, right? You're able to use that time to pursue a lot of these things that you're passionate about. You probably won't be able to do that on a physical platform, not only because of the toxic nature of these universities, because a lot of them are extremely competitive and there's a lot of peer pressure that goes along with it. But the point in time in which it's online, you have greater access to a lot of these things that you can do for yourself and in general, just boost your mental health, right? Secondly, access of internships on job. This is a very crucial point, right? We tell you that corporate spaces are likely to admit you even in job, even if because of breaking down the stigma, but we also feel like work from home practices also in general increase, right? Access of online education means that it trickles down to jobs as well, right? Because the quality of education determines a lot of it. What do we mean by this? Internship practices or jobs in general are also likely to have an incentive to make their working platforms online. You're able to gain a lot of access to good employment opportunities because they have an incentive to be online. You realize that the nation of a lot of good students is to study this online platform with merit because they didn't have money to go to a physical platform, right? The point at which they do that, they have an incentive to make sure that a lot of these talented people are scouted to their offices or jobs in corporate workplaces. You'll probably be able to do that because of the normalization that exists in ours, right? Lastly then, the set of costs of unis are just lower. Why is this in general just much better? The point at which you do this, we're able to have a greater quantity of institutions. I feel like in general, the setup cost being lower not only increases the access to quality because you're able to have a lot of these facilities, but the point at which you do that, you're able to have a greater quantity of institutions that gives access to a lot of these demographic communities, right? So people living in bad geographical locations probably won't be able to transport because they're usually poorer. But the point at which you have a lot of these institutions having access to the net, having access to a lot of these things, will mean that you're able to include yourself in these institutions. Quantity increasing of institutions means that you have a capacity for greater access to education for a lot of these people who probably won't have that access in general, living in those bad areas. Why is this better for minorities and discriminated groups in general, right? I feel like in general, a lot of these prestigious unis or just physical platforms in other countries have platforms in which discrimination can be shared widely, right? There's mass amounts of racism and there's mass amounts of internal xenophobia or Islamophobia, or a lot of these things that exist for a lot of these students in international workplaces or in international schools, right? You reduce that to a large degree on our side in online platforms because of the ability for you to keep anonymity within a large degree, even if you're not. The fact that they can't spread as much hatred to you or actually inflict harm upon you decreases. And also, at the same time, the point in time in which a lot of these minorities or the access, right? The teacher-student ratio is also much better for our side. We feel like at the point in time in which in their side in status quo, when it's not normalized, you'll probably have an incentive to go to these physical platforms or physical schools, right? Simply because of the stigma that exists with online education. At that point, not only is it difficult for parents to pay for that fund for you because of pressure, but it also means that teachers are less likely to exist because they're not going to be able to fly to different areas or the quality of teachers won't be that great in a lot of these universities. But more than that, the quantity of teachers is bad, right? Because even if the quantity stays the same on our side, the fact that they're online platforms means a better capacity for education. Simply because you can fit 200 people in a Zoom classroom without any hesitance, but you probably won't be able to do that on the same campus on their side, right? Which means not only are you giving these people physical greater access.
Hello, Alright, also please don't use the microphone when you're asking if I can take a POI. Starting in 3, 2, 1. For people who are poor and destitute and have absolutely no access, they can always opt into online university. Normalizing online university disproportionately harms disprivileged students, international students who deserve more, who deserve better, who deserve these holistic experiences. For these people, the debate is not about access versus no access panel. The debate is about some access to holistic university experiences that you will get from our side of the world through things like scholarship, through things like quotas, which massively decreases under their side, versus who work denied access to physical universities from international students, we think that is harmful. Secondarily, we also think that it allows governments to not create better avenues for people to get, for disadvantaged people to get access to actual physical universities in the first place. The bargaining power for disadvantaged groups to come up and say, look, we deserve access to schools like Cambridge and Harvard, and we want the full right. We are not happy with online courses. We are not happy with you not hiring us. Decreases exponentially under their set of the world, because now universities and governments can simply come up and claim, well, we do give you access. It exists in the form of online universities. So technically, you do get access. In that world, bargaining power for these people decreases to a large extent. But secondarily, we also think diversity quotas for these universities also decreases. In the status quo, at least universities now would have a diversity quota where they would want to make sure that their university looks as diverse as possible and they hire people from different backgrounds. The incentive for universities to do so massively decreases under their side, when universities can simply make sure that these people go to online universities instead. We think that minority groups and differentiated groups deserve holistic experiences and they can get access to these things. Under their side, the chances of any person from a disadvantaged group getting access to universities decreases. Before I move on point.
A world in which online education is stigmatized, where there exists pressure for parents and people to start education physically. How do you use that?
We told you about tuition fees. We think that scholarships and need-based scholarships, it decreases by large extent to your side of the world, to your side of the world. But secondarily, if money is the problem, then they probably wouldn't go to a school go to extremely reputable schools like Ivy League schools anyways, right? They'll probably opt into schools which are cheaper in their local community, right? But we still think that they would still be able to go to physical universities, which we think is overall better. Secondarily, why do we think the quality of education in online courses is relatively poor as well? Firstly, given that these funds are probably going to be redistributed, online courses will always be a secondary priority for professors and management alike. We think that the first priority will always be the physical university and the students who study there. This likely means that because universities are profit-oriented, people who are paying less for courses, people who are paying less for their education, i.e. online students, are going to be getting access to worse professors, worse resources. We don't think that we think that because of that reason the contribution goes down. But secondarily, also the teachers and professors that are going to teach them are going to be less capable in nature because they are the secondary priority. The reason why we do this debate is because we explained to you how under our side of the world you disproportionately harm the very people that they're trying to protect. At least under our side of the world, the people from marginalized communities who otherwise would have absolutely no access will get some sort of access under our side of the world. If they want to win on quantity, they cannot win on quantity because we told you the problem isn't the abundance of the problem isn't a shortage of universities. The problem is that people still want to go to highly reputable universities. And under their side of the world, the incentive for highly reputable universities, which have an abundance of job prospects, to hire or to enroll people from marginalized communities, to enroll people from disadvantaged communities, continuously decreases. We think that because of those reasons, very, very proud to oppose.
Thank you for the speech. Calling upon the government with here.
They're saying that the Congress mind is kind of in order to solve things. I was speaking, is that understandable? Is that fine, right? Oh, this is fine, right? If I speak using this mic, is it understandable? Alright. Right, so I got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Opposition loses this debate when they say that poor people can always opt for online education. The matter of fact that the stigmatization of the society has led to the point that these poor people are the ones who have to opt for online education. Like it looks like that on their side of the world, these are the kind of people who will not be accepted in the corporate sector, solely due to the fact that these are the only people who are expected to be in this sort of online education, right? This is the kind of thing that we're trying to perceive and we're trying to fight against on our side fact that we want more access to education for all of these minorities, and in the long run, we want more access to the job sector for disenfranchised people, right? But to the point in time in which this stigmatization exists on their side of the world, and this online education is not normalized, is the point in time in which the only association people have with online sector, like online sector education, is they are not as skilled as the ones as their campus counterparts, right? This is you'll be getting three things in my students. Firstly, you'll be getting a few responses. Secondly, you'll be getting a few like clash analysis. But thirdly, you'll see why on our side of the world we're best able to protect the minorities way more than they are able to. Right? Firstly, a few responses. Things that we get from Sara are you're not going to get access to the campus life comes from both programs. You're not going to get access to ECAs. You're not going to get access to a social structure system, all physical interaction. The matter of fact is, the point in time in which you're taking online education as a factor is the point in time in which you're able to save great amounts of time that you're not able to in a campus setting. Let's look at this quick illustration, right? I'll have to wake up at 7 a.m. every single day, take a car to travel 10 kilometers to my university campus, and then take a car to travel 10 kilometers back to my home. That would be like an hour wasted on the journey towards and on their journey back. If I were able to even save 2 hours per day, I would still use that time to invest in something that I like to do more. For example, invest in time in debating, invest in time in other ECAs, invest in time in better social connections. Right? That is something that is a low impact in this debate. But more than that, on their side of that is something that doesn't impact the debate. But more than that, on their side of the world, what else are we seeing? What else we're seeing is that there is less access to education for people who are disenfranchised. What does this look like? This looks like greater amounts of discrimination already pre-existing within the social structure norms of student education and of education. And to the point in time in which you do not destigmatize online education is always going to be online education is always going to be associated with something that is done by someone who wants it to be convenient or wants it to be the poor person's way out. On our side of the world, the point in time in which we destigmatize it is the point in time in which we allow for the corporate sector, for the job sector, for everyone to accept it as a viable form of education. And that is the point in time in which disenfranchised people are able to gain the same amount of quality of education or better quality of education, same amount of quality of education and same amount of quality of jobs. Right? Why is this the case? 2 layers of analysis on this. Firstly, if you do not destigmatize the online sector, it is very likely that there will not be any checks and balances or accountability for the professors within the online sector. This is due to the fact that the point in time in which society associates the online sector with being something that is not of much importance is the point in time in which professors are likely to get away with the things Sarah talks about, right? Professors are likely to get away with being lenient. Professors are likely to get away with making campus like their own priority. The point in time in which society accepts online sector as a viable path and as a viable way to gain your education is the point in time in which they'll have better checks and balances, they'll have better means of actually holding professors accountable, that if you do not show up on time or if you do not give your lectures properly, you're not going to be a high-standing professor in our prestigious university anymore, because we want you to do the same amount of effort on both sides. Secondly, you are able to gain a greater amount of access to online education, and this access is uniquely important for the disenfranchised, as I've talked about. But moreover, the disenfranchised have less reason to face things such as physically being discriminated against, facing threats that would happen in a normal situation. Right? Let's give an illustration to this. Maybe I'm a part of a minority within a country, and I realize that I have to shift abroad, and I get a chance in Harvard, right, for example. There would be multiple factors playing in my mind, and I know that I might not be able to afford it anyways, but even if I were to get a financial aid package, it is very unlikely that I would want to go to Harvard, because there are 100 white-collar, white-skinned kids who will all actively look at me as an outsider. At that point in time, I do not want to be in Harvard, even though that is my dream, because I'll have to share a dormitory with 100 people who will look at me as someone who's not from their side, as someone who's an absolute outsider who's encroaching on their territory. On the comparative, on our side of the world, if the classes were online and if the classes worked on an online system, it is very likely that even in our very worst case, in our absolute worst case, direct amounts of such discrimination would not exist, because you're working behind the screen. You cannot be directly threatened, you cannot direct comparisons of such cases does not exist, and you can actually be anonymous regarding what your race is, what your skin color may be, what your background or culture may be. Right? So therefore, on the comparative, we believe that we are much better off for minorities, and that is enough to win this debate, because minorities, on the whole, are the most vulnerable stakeholders that we need to take care of in this debate. They go along and talk a lot about how they're going to help the students who can choose between they're going to help the students whose parents will think of it as a convenience to pay for online center, right? We do not think that this is the most important aspect of this debate, because what we need to do is actually help the people who do not have any access to education in the first place, and that is something we're doing. However, we believe we also win on the idea of convenience for these students, right? Due to two main factors. You need to recognize that it is all, for any rational parent, it is always in their best interest to get the best, for their children. And if the children want to have a campus life, and the children want to go into the campus to get their degree, it is very likely that if the parent has the capacity to do so, they will like to pay for it, right? It is unlikely that the parent will say no if they recognize that is their child's dreams and aspirations, but they still have the capacity for it if they are a rational parent. Irrational parents are likely to insist on both sides of the world, so that's not a part of this, okay? But secondly, if the child themselves decides that they want to have a campus life, and if the parent lets them proceed to have that campus life on both sides of the world, it is likely that that campus life is still going to be the same. The only difference is, on our side of the world, for people who do not access that campus life, or cannot access that campus life, they have an extra option of actually going ahead and getting the same quality of education through online education. The response that we get from Sarah regarding this is, look, the online education quality is going to be worse off because the professors will always think of the physical campus as the main priority. I have already shown to you why, through better checks and accountability measures, it is very likely that the professors will be held more accountable on our side of the world. But even if you were not to buy that, you still need to buy the fact that on our side of the world, there will be more people that would be readily available. There will be more people that would be readily able to interact with the professors. Simply due to the fact that you have to, like when you see a Zoom pop-up, or when you see a chat pop-up on Zoom, it makes you feel way more encouraged and makes you forces you basically as a professor to want to respond to that, compared to when a student tries to approach you in the hallway and while you're busy and you do not have time to get to that student. Right? It is very likely that such interactions are going to be better off regarding the online sphere on our side of the world. And even through all the comparatives in this debate, firstly, we have shown you why we're better off for the disenfranchised, thinking that
Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1, start. Shalman wants to bring up Harvard for a roommate that he doesn't like, for racism that might exist in that university. A new point coming up in the whip, we will tackle it later. The proposition side wants to cater to the dream university life of the applicants. However, they get it wrong the point in time they assume that the dream university life only depends on the lectures that you have achieved from the teachers and the professors. They fail to recognize that why a person would choose a certain university. The fact that I would choose a university doesn't really depend on the professors that they have, on the kind of lectures and kind of courses that they have, right? The point in time that I choose a university, fail to recognize the fact that I probably go online and take an online tour of the university, what facilities that they have, what clubs that they have, what kind of people that they have, what kind of diversity at the university exists. The point in time they don't tackle any of the cases, they don't give any engagement to the holistic experience that we prioritize at the point in time they lose this debate. To win this debate, the government decided to do two things, right? That first you have to tell us that why the access to that both sides agree on till now, right? We both agree that we want to cater to the disprivileged in the society, the ones who probably are likely to opt into the online courses. However, then what is then the comparative, right? The comparative over here is when you normalize this online education, people who could have opted into an offline education, a physical education, now would opt into an online education. People who would have had a shot before in the status quo, people who would have had a shot because of things such as need-based scholarship existing that significantly decreases in their side of the world, are now opting into an online education with a lower amount of quality of experience, right? It's a choice, a manipulated choice that will only structure, the majority only construct for the minority people, for the people who are underprivileged in the society, right? So by then, what are the two questions in this week? Firstly, which side increases the accessibility for the disprivileged communities, and secondly, which side ensures the quality of the education and the whole university experience, right? So on to the point of accessibility, a few things we get from the side proposition. First, they tell us that the capacity of the universities are going to increase, right? More universities are going to come up, and thus more people are going to be able to get into universities. Recognize Tara has already tackled the point that the problem with the status quo is not the abundance of universities. The problem with the status quo is because people have a set target university that they want to get into. But secondly, even if there is a capacity, the polytechnic it's still as expensive as before, if not more, is when the accessibility does not increase, right? When a new university is being set up, means they have less amount of funding, less chances of giving scholarship to the students. The reason I don't want to get into some random universities is because they probably won't be able to give me financial aid, right? Because I won't be able to access it in the first place. But secondly, when they talk about capacity, they also talk about better quality of professors now being able to be hired because you redistribute the funding. Recognize in terms of professors, there are two kinds of models that they can propose. Firstly, it's going to be the same teacher teaching the offline and the online students, which means in their side of the world, the ratio of the student-teacher ratio is getting worse, right? As same teachers having to cater to a more number of students, so as the quality of education decreases. But secondly, if you want to hire a different set of teachers for the online department, the given that I proved to you, why it's still going to be a secondary priority to the education system, given that they're earning less profit, less revenue from this model, we tell you that these teachers are going to be lower qualified, and thus it's going to be worse for the education system online. Secondly, they tell us that that there's going to be a certain stigma existing, which is going to hamper the job prospects. Once it's normalized, the stigma doesn't exist, right? The stigma that recognize even that we have given to you ample reasons as to why stigma is a social issue. Even the Unilever doesn't care if you normalize online education or not. They care if the workers that they're hiring are being able to be productive or not, right? Recognize they completely ignore the fact that the competition still exists. People will still look for skills in the skills when hiring for a job. But secondly, even if they do get in the job, the point is they did not have the experience in laboratories. They did not have the practical experience of how to deal with people, how to constructively communicate with people and express themselves in an environment that is needed. Is a point in time they are going to feel less than their counterparts even after getting their job. But lastly, they also bring up the point about how accessibility is going to be increased because they have more time to invest into other passions. Recognize that you being able to invest time in passions is also dependent on the fact that you have the access to those facilities. Me wanting to be a singer means I need to have a guitar to practice with. I need to have a studio to practice my art in. I need to have a swimming pool to practice swimming and a gym to practice my athletics, right? Recognize the point in time they themselves deprioritize these facilities because they want to redistribute funding from these facilities. Is they actively discourage all the pursuit of all these passions in their sector. Before I move on to the second question, yes.
Right, you talked a lot about funding and how funding will decrease. What do you think costs more, 100 premium Zoom accounts or a plot of land in Chandrapur?
We don't talk about how funding will decrease. We tell you how funding in your sector is being redistributed. But secondly, we tell you that the funding for this online courses is likely to be less than the funding that is given to the offline courses, which means that the quality of this education in the online courses is still likely to be lower because there is second priority. But moving on to the second class where quality of education is going to be better in our sector, right? On the other quality of education, few things that they say, right? Firstly, they tell us that it's easier to store things, it's easier to access PDFs. Recognize these are still symmetric. Universities still record lectures, they still have websites where they upload the lectures, there's still access to PDF books. Most people still use laptops to read a lot of books and PDFs in the status quo, right? This is not something exclusive that we're trying to get. But secondly, they come up and tell us there's racism in universities that's going to hamper quality of the university experience in and of itself. Recognize to avoid racism, you probably have to cut off a lot of social interactions in your daily life. The point that you consider the fact that you're going to pursue your passions with the time that you save. The point that you agree that you're going to go out in the world, you're going to mix with other people, and then you're going to try and make it out in life, right? So we believe that if they are going to avoid racism, you probably have to always stay in your comfort zone, which is the worst of things. But secondly, we believe this is worse than theirs of growth, right? Because it means to avoid racism, now people from the disadvantaged communities are not going to physical universities, which means this is something that the universities are going to actively weaponize, right? Because the reason that university is taking these people from disadvantaged communities, giving the need scholarship, is because they have things like diversity quotas. The point is that they can fill up these quotas from the online courses. They can show that I have taken diverse people, but they're doing classes online. Is the point that they are doing anything to bring active changes and to increase the actual accessibility in the society, right? This means racism is going to be worse than theirs everywhere, because now they're less likely to have the representation in the university. Minorities are now actively going to be excluded. The disadvantaged community are only going to be in the online courses, right? Why are we then better off? Let's see all the benefits that are realized in our sector and the harms that have been realized in the government sector, right? The exclusive harms in the government sector are threefold. Firstly, there's a decrease in the number of scholarships. There's a decrease in the number of actual accessibility to physical education. On comparative, our sector, we believe increase accessibility to actual education, whereas they only give a perception of increase and thus decreasing the amount of bargaining power for these people to bring about actual change. But secondly, we believe as universities are profit-oriented, online courses are still always going to be second priority, and this is where people from disadvantaged communities are most likely to get education from, that the quality of education decreasing. But thirdly, we believe the most important part of our case is that we believe that holding of the bargaining power for actual changes is something that's more important than the marginal amount of increase in accessibility by new online courses and new universities being set up in the proposition side.
Thank you for the speech, calling upon the op reply here.
Hello? Audible? Starting in 3, 2, 1. The truth is, panel, normalization of online education will never change anything for the people from neighborhoods of Beverly Hills who go to, right? They will never change anything for rich people or people who can opt into physical universities at all, right? It simply means that international students like you and me will be handed the leftover crumbs of online university, meaning we'll be denied scholarships, we'll be denied political coverage, we'll be denied the bargaining power to ask for a better quality of education. We lose the power to fight for a place in the likes of universities like Harvard and UBC. Those are the people that we fight for. We don't think it's enough for them to just come and say access will increase. If this access doesn't lead to any tangible benefits in the long run, we think that these people deserve more, and this only happens under our side of the world. Recognize that this layers of analysis that we give you as to how this means that these people will be denied scholarships and denied places, denied seats in these places is largely unengaged with. And we think that is the strongest argument. That is why we win this debate. But recognize, destigmatizing online education and removing the stigma from online education does not translate to the tangible benefits that they talk about. It does not lead to more job prospects, because companies will still prefer people with more holistic experiences. They have the capacity to choose from a wide range of students. Therefore, they will probably choose people who have experience working in professional spheres, who have access to things like additional resources, who probably met
calling upon the Gulf reply to conclude this debate. Here.
Right. I think this is better. Okay. Start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Their strategy is that people should have an option to choose. I don't have my time. 1 second. I was too enthusiastic. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. One of their main strategies is that people should have an option to choose because sometimes parents won't allow them to go. We give you a lot of responses as to saying that parents who can't afford will probably allow them to go via the nature of them being parents. Worst case, that they don't. It's still better because we cater toward the most vulnerable people, the people who can't go, the people who are stigmatized, the people who are denied corporate structures and workplaces because of the stigma that comes along with online education. If we don't concede, but even if we do, we win this debate just becomes in general, right? There are 2 reasons to why we win this debate: access and jobs. They keep claiming access is important. I don't see why. Education needs access. Access needs to quality. Quality is great. Okay, 3 written down for access, right? Firstly, you save up money. Okay, the first point over here is that there are low setup costs, right? The point about advertising is that the pure reply was that how do you get funding? One aspect of funding is the fact that venture capitalists will always give you money. It's easier to give you money because online resources and online education would probably require less amounts of money. But the fact that you have low setup costs for a lot of these online platforms means that you're able to save up a lot of money for the quality professors, right? And they will have an incentive to come here because of the research that's associated with a lot of these online platforms, or because these professors have an incentive to make sure that a lot of students reach out to them, or the fact that they can reach out to a lot of students with their research and capacity to make sure that there's some sort of change. They can only do that in an online platform, right? Secondly, we tell you that there's greater access to scholarships because of the fact that you're saving up these monies. But in general, like, you have access for merit and diversity because you have an incentive for merit. Universities would probably want really good students, but at the same time they will also want diversity because those are incentives that they have in order to compete with other universities or actually prove to workplaces that they're actually good. Thirdly, teacher-student ratio. In our worst case, even if it's really high, we still prove to you as to why it's better. Simply because you have more capacity in class and the attention span is better because it's one person that's focused on. But secondly, you have greater interaction due to those chatbots existing, due to the fact that there's more pressure for a lot of these professors to actually be accountable within a lot of those influences, right? Secondly, we tell you that exploration of interest is better off on our side because of the ability of you to save up time, right? We tell you that access to technology is not only better, but there's an incentive to make it better, which means that the use of generative AI or a lot of these other platforms would mean that there's greater amounts of convenience because you can save up time and stress in which you don't have to run around campus going into different libraries. You have access to a lot of these passions that you want. You have access to internships. You have access to make that you have access to make your resume or your portfolio better, which not only makes your mental health better, but can also make your resume stronger, things that you probably can't do on their side due to the additional stress of physical campus. Lastly, we tell you there's more incentive to fund online platforms or to fund the development of these online platforms to make sure that these online platforms are working and efficient and good, which is not only innovative, but also means greater technology access for a lot of these students, which helps in education. Lastly, then on jobs. We tell you why corporate workplaces are better off in our side and why a lot of these online students are supposed to get it. The main point of normalization is breaking down that stigma and breaking down that taboo. You do that in our side, and that's why you break this stigma and make sure that the normalization exists within a lot of these corporate workplaces. But in general, I feel like scouts can also shift online too. I feel like that's just much more convenient. I don't necessarily see as to why scouts would only exist on offline platforms. If you're a scout from like PwC, you'd probably be able to go to lots of different universities when it's online because it's much more convenient than you having to travel in different places which you probably won't have to work to, right? Like a PwC person probably won't have to come to Bangladesh for an interview. They could do that online, or they could actually go into different classrooms and actually have a lot of these exams that go wrong and within these institutions that are online. Secondly, corporations in general have an incentive to want good, talented people. Online education will also give them the access to a large degree. Not only do they have information, they have more capacity to find more people because of the access and the ease of access for these students for in these online platforms, right? So you have a greater amount of talent pool and diverse pool to choose from. Lastly, we also tell you they don't defend this or go against respond to this in the sense that there's a trickle-down net of a lot of these online work from home practices getting more common. And the fact that these institutions being normalized means that a lot of these working practices can also be online due to the incentive of you making sure that good students online can also access your workplace, which gives people access to better jobs in general. We feel like for these reasons, we definitely win for pro.
Thank you for the debate. Try to get up the stage without playing a theme song.